Hello everyone, how are you doing? Good, I hope. So, it's of no shock to anyone here, but I love Street Fighter 6. It's easily my favorite of all the current gen fighting games, and honestly, it's just near perfect in my eyes. Sure, there's a couple things I tweak here and there, but overall the stylization and presentation of everything just feels so right to me. Anyway, now that Season 2 is officially underway, it's brought upon the prospect of guest characters in Street Fighter, with both Terry and Mai coming to the game. Trust me, I am aware more than most.
Wait, this is
No.
King of Fighters.
Wait, hold on.
Is this
Terry?
Is this King
Terry! But while this is incredibly hype for me, it kind of opens up this Pandora's box, you know? Unlike other fighting games, Street Fighter has never really had guest characters before, at least not in the traditional sense. So this is completely new territory. Is Terry and Mai going to be purely a one-time thing, or are guest characters going to become a reoccurring, thing in DLC going forward? Regardless of what, the case actually is or what you think, for the sake of this discussion, let's say guest fighters are something we'll be seeing more of. Besides, it's like the entire point of the video, why would I say anything else? First of all, it should be obvious, but I am absolutely for guest characters in fighting games. To me, there's just something special about them if they're done right. There are plenty of examples of guest characters across all fighting games, but I think the biggest examples come from Soul Calibur and NetherRealm's games. Soul Calibur has had guests such as Link, Darth Vader, 2B, Geralt, Kratos, and Spawn, while NetherRealm games have had characters such as the TMNT, Predator, Jason, Hellboy, Kratos, and Spawn. Hey wait, I'd honestly say guest characters are baked into the series' DNA at this point, so seeing someone like Virgil in Soul Calibur or Ash Williams in Mortal Kombat wouldn't come off as a shock, right? But for something like Street Fighter, the concept of adding a guest character has a lot more weight to it. Not only is it something the series has never really done before, up until recently, I wouldn't even thought it was even possible. Like, if you asked me this even 6 months ago, I would have said the closest thing we could get to a guest is someone from another Capcom franchise like Darkstalkers or Final Fight. And even then, Final Fight, would that even count? World Tour's main area is literally Metro City, and we see several Final Fight characters throughout the game. Anyway, now we've gotten not only one, but two characters from SNK coming. So with that Pandora's box I mentioned earlier has been broken wide open. But that still leaves the question of what would fit in Street Fighter? Because if I'm being honest here, it's a bit harder to narrow down a guest character for this game than the other two franchises I mentioned. Because let's be real here, Mortal Kombat's guest characters tend to be glorified promotions for whatever's coming out in the near future, and Soul Calibur's guests are more out there. So that leaves Street Fighter in a unique position. And so far with Terry and Mai, we're off to a good start. Both characters fit Street Fighter's world near perfectly. And that's got me thinking, who else could work? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So here's a prediction / wish list for some guest characters I'd like to see in Street Fighter 6. However, like I mentioned before, the concept of guest fighters in Street Fighter holds a lot more weight than other games. So I'm not just going to put whoever I feel like, for example, Starscream or Megatron. I'm going to try and keep it as realistic as possible, and in order to do that, there's two things I had to keep in mind. One, would they fit well into the world of Street Fighter? And two, would they work in World Tour? Every DLC character so far has had a World Tour content update to go alongside them, so I truly believe that if you can't fit the character into World Tour as a setting, or as a master they can't be a guest character. So with that being said, let's go over my picks. First up is a bit of he's kind of an honorable mention now. I originally wrote the picks first before solidifying everything else in the video, but as I started to write this segment, I realized he doesn't really work anymore because of something I said earlier. So I changed a few things and now he's just a bonus honorable mention. The thing is though, it's not that he wouldn't fit into the game, in fact, he would. Almost like he's kind of already in the game in a way. It's Mike Hagar. Like I said, the game is already so closely bonded to Final Fight as a series that this doesn't really count as a guest character anymore. But I'd like Hagar in anyway. The only stipulation right now is, well, he might be dead or retired. I don't know. The statue in game doesn't really make it clear. So I vote we either break into his retirement home or dig up his grave with some shovels and do some necromancy just so he can be a guest fighter. Jokes aside though, onto the actual list now. Alright, first up for real this time, He's a bit of an oddball pick, but I'll explain myself in due time. It's Frank West from Dead Rising. Now wait, I know this is dangerously close to breaking the rules I talked about earlier, but hear me out. I don't think Frank would be, you know, many people's first pick for a guest character in Street Fighter, but I don't think he sticks out enough to say that he wouldn't fit either. He is a fighter, sure not a traditional one, but, you know, he's still got combat experience and, well, he's covered wars, you know. I'm gonna be completely honest, I wrote that entire last part just so I can have an excuse to say the quote. Now, the biggest elephant in the room is zombies. Would they fit? Traditionally, no, I'd say. But I have an alternative that ties into the World Tour side of things, right? Have Psycho Energy zombies be created by Neo Shadowloo. Honestly, just reskin the average Psycho Energy filled at whatever his name was to look more zombie-like, and bam, good enough. His World Tour questline could just be him investigating Neo Shadowloo and Neyshal. Have him make a couple vague references to him seeing stuff like this before in Willamette, and bam, good enough. I know this is kind of a bit of a wild first pick. The next one is a lot more what I'm sure people are expecting from a guest character for Street Fighter, but yeah. Also, I didn't write this part into the script for any of the characters, but I want to talk about alternate costumes for a moment. His first one would obviously be, you know, just the Dead Rising 1 look. Second could be, like, the Mega Man costume he has. And then third, right? I'm thinking for his third costume, just have it be Chuck. That's all I got. Anyway, on to the next one. Alright, I'll be blunt for the next one. It's a Tekken character. Much like SNK and Capcom, thanks to a previous crossover with both of the series, I feel like if we get another guest character, it's almost 100% going to be a Tekken character, right? Now, everyone is saying it's going to be Jin or Kazuya or even Heihachi, but I'm going to go against the grain here and choose the best Tekken character of all time. Akuma! Sorry, I couldn't resist. It's Reina. I'll be completely transparent here. Reina is one of my mains, so did I pick this entirely out of bias? Let's go over the two rules. Does she fit in the world of Street Fighter? Yeah, she does. Honestly, she fits insanely well. Her design fits in well with characters like Luke, Juri, Cammy, etc. And then for the next part, would she work in World Tour? I mean, look, if they can get Akuma to not only work in Tekken 7, but also get him to work in the story mode as a character within the game's narrative, I mean, yeah, the reverse could easily be done with Reina. As for her World Tour questline, realistically, I doubt Capcom would be able to spoil those parts about her character, but I'd imagine it would just end up being vague references to her motivations for wanting to take down Kazuya. So, yeah, that ticks both boxes. Like I said, I'm pretty sure her Tekken character is a lock. Do I think it would actually be Reina? No, it's probably going to be Jin, let's be real here. But, you know, would I prefer to see Reina? Yeah, definitely. Not at all biased. Alright, while the last pick was probably fairly predictable, all things considered, I mean, it was a Tekken character. After SNK, that's like the most logical pick for a guest character. But this one, while it fits into the same category as both SNK and Tekken, with it being another franchise that's crossed over with Street Fighter before, it's a bit more, how do I word this, exciting. It's Wolverine. This one, I'm not gonna lie, it required the stars to align perfectly to even consider him as an option. But would you look at that, the stars are looking real aligned right about now, thanks to the Marvel vs. Capcom collection. Because these two companies are, once again, talking, not only is Marvel vs. Capcom 4 now infinitely more possible than it was back when I made that video, it feels like it's the perfect time to do anything, like, together. Between Marvel finally re-embracing X-Men as a brand and Capcom's success with Street Fighter 6, I can't be the only one thinking Wolverine as a guest character. Like, it's not too far-fetched, right? Like, I'm not insane here, am I? Actually, don't answer that part. But still. As for the rules, he qualifies on both. He'd work well in the general world of Street Fighter, you know, albeit thanks to X-Men vs. Street Fighter. But if you need, like, a lore reason for why he's there, if they even want to address it, just, the X-Men deal with alternate dimensions and whatnot all the time, so just flop him in there and go, time to find a bar. As for the other World Tour stuff, he's a teacher already, so him being a master already makes sense. The only possible problem I could think of is how would the clause work for John World Tour, but you could easily just take a page from Fortnite and do what they did for the Weapon X skins harvesting tool, that's the word I was looking for. Now, I know what you're thinking. Did I put Wolverine in because I'm widely known as a huge X-Men and Marvel vs. Capcom fan? Alright, my last pick is admittedly an actual stretch. Honestly, it was between her or the TMNT, but she just kind of felt more fitting, like realistic, I guess would be the word, but even then it's still a stretch. I don't know how to word it, but it's your Forger from Spy Family. Like I said, this one is easily the one that's probably not realistic at all, but let me explain, right? Back when the Spy Family collab for Street Fighter 6 was announced, they had this sick animated trailer with Yor versus Chun-Li, and man, that trailer's just been living in my skull for over 6 months now. That's unironically the reason I've chosen her for this. That's just it. Anyway, Yor is easily the hardest character to fit in with the 2 rules in play. Does she fit into the world of Street Fighter? Kind of, but like she doesn't stick out too much, but it's not like Frank where it's kind of that perfect middle ground between absolutely ridiculous and realistic. As for World Tour, yeah, she'd work, I guess. She just have a lot more vague references to things from Spy Family instead of outright saying specifics, but anyway, she's not entirely fitting, but you know, it's not like a huge stretch. I mean, it's definitely still a bit of a stretch, but you know, if it's too out there, then let's go with Baki. You know what? Good enough. If it's the same qualifications, yeah, why not? Let's change it last second. It's Baki. Anyway, those are the guests I'd like to see in Street Fighter 6. Like I said earlier, Terry and Mike could easily just be a one-time thing, and, you know, I'd 100% be fine with it. Anyway, who would you like to see as a guest fighter if we end up getting more? Who do you think would even fit? Let me know. I'd love to see your guys' picks. Anyway, I'll be real with you, I rushed to get this video out during EVO, so as of recording this, I'm a bit tired, so, but I've got another video I'm working on. The script is finished, and I'm just kind of waiting for an ideal time to, you know, work on it. Probably near August, September, for a very specific reason. Anyway, enough talk. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and don't forget, if Ken and Terry don't have this as a special intro, then what's even the point? Capcom, what are you even doing?